Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode. Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Shed Geek podcast, and super excited for today's guest. He's an old favorite. For those of you who have just found the show, you might remember Dan from episode, I don't remember what episode it was, but it's in season 1, and I can get you that information for you to go back and listen. But Dan, welcome back to the show. And for those who don't know you or use your product, just introduce yourself, a little bit about, your company and what you guys do.
Thanks for having me back, Shannon. Glad to be here. I started with an idea 15 years ago that I could take a standard roof vent, just a vent that was normal you could buy off the shelf, and I could solar power it. I could put a little motor inside, solar panel on top of it, and power the thing. And that would be a dual use, a hybrid use for a solar powered fan. And so that's what we did. That's what we took off 15 years ago with. And now, over the years, we've started with a roofing application, but what we gravitated to was a shed application that it really fit well for sheds. One of the reasons is sized very nicely for a shed. So glad to be here, and glad to talk about Solar Blaster and our products.
Wow, excellent. Well, we talked so much. I can remember the conversation last time. We talked so much about, just like air. Like I tell people this all the time. I still use a line from your podcast whenever I talk to people. It's been sort of incorporated into my regular talk when we're discussing things. Is like air is the most natural purifier. And I love that you said that, because I still remember it to this day. It was a very educational segment. I remember that. And we can get into the details of that. But let me start here. You are already in the shed industry. This is something that you've been doing for quite some time. These products already go out to shed manufacturers everywhere.
We really appreciate the business that we do with shed manufacturers. Like I said, it's a perfect fit, but really for sheds specifically, it's an investment into the future of your shed. You're protecting your shed. You're keeping the interior of your shed, what I call, and what you just spoke about, with clothesline fresh, just like putting your head on that pillow after it come off mom's clothesline. And so that's what we like to talk about, because we want to protect that shed for longevity. We want to protect the shed manufacturers for warranty aspects. And a lot of times, the warranty aspects that we're talking about, the protection that our product offers, comes from things that are not even associated with the manufacturing process itself. So something I'd like to talk about today is vapor drive. It is where moisture will come out of the ground or out of the air, depending on the difference in temperature, and affect the shed. It could warp the wood in the shed. It could rot the wood in the shed. And here it is coming out of the ground, and it has no bearing on the manufacturer itself. It depends on location, climate, temperature. But vapor drive is a huge deal, and it affects all buildings. So I'll just read the definition. A phenomenon called vapor drive moves water vapor from areas of high density to low density. Vapor drive naturally diffuses moisture vapor into and through wall structures, resulting in condensation on cool surfaces. So even a temperature variance due to a warm day can suck moisture into the under foundation, the under structure of a shed, and start to damage it, begin to warp that plywood, begin to warp the trussing underneath. So it's a big deal when it comes to not only protecting the manufacturer, but the comfort and protection of the owner of the shed as it moves from manufacturing to the owner.
Well, and that's kind of one of the topics that I certainly want to address is the end user at some point. But I really want to drive this home. Like, you guys have been working like in the shed industry for quite some time. You have customers, like we whenever we bring someone to the podcast, and this is what's really excellent. Like last time, whenever you were on the podcast, we weren't even doing video at that time. It was just an audio only. So people didn't get to see your product. They didn't get to see you. They didn't get to know you. And that's something that I want to drive home is this is something you've been doing for a period of time, for several years already, working with shed manufacturers. And what we're really trying to accomplish here is a couple things. And that is one, you obviously want to grow your business. So I want to say this and I hope you appreciate this, Dan, but I want to make the phones ring. You know what I mean? I want people calling you saying, hey, Dan knows about this. He's been doing it and here's the product. But to do that, we got to show the benefit of your product. And I know you've even got something here with you today that you can show, but let's talk about that one specific example. Like as a shed manufacturer, the one thing that I get all the time is we sell a quality shed, quality shed, quality shed, quality shed, and I'm starting to think about where does creativity fit into the conversation. Dan, you're a believer. I'm a believer. One of the things that we know about the Lord is that he's creative. And whenever I think about like sheds and I think about like seeing these things on multiple corners all across the United States, I don't know. We've been in 30 states. We've probably visited 500 shed dealers. I don't know. It's just been a lot. And I ask myself all the time, who is coming up with something new and creative? What about the features and benefits that go beyond just the lumber and the metal? The R&D, the research and development for the end user, and that's really where I see your product. But your product doesn't sell B2C. You don't normally go straight to the consumer. You really want the manufacturers to pick this up and say, add this as a featured benefit to your shed. And then you pass those costs on to the consumer, but the value they're getting goes beyond the added cost. And we can discuss all that. I'm sure you sell in bulk and all those things. We can get to those details, but I want to drive that point home that like, hey, this is for the customer. So if you're a builder who doesn't want to add in these features, who cares? The customers may want these features, right? And you can, and I don't mean to be so bland about it or so pointed or whatever the right word is there, but like, hey, consumers drive our business. And like, I think these are excellent benefits, excellent features that you can add. So what are your thoughts on that, on the end user's experience for these things?
Well, the really greatest thing, the coolest thing about end users is I can go knock on somebody's door today and I can show them my vent and I can tell them the features and I can show them the benefits to their home, to their shed specifically. And I can go knock on that door 10 minutes later and they'll be selling the product back to me. I just sit back and shut up. They're telling me all the benefits that it's going to do for them. They're going to tell me about the fresh air, the moisture, the removal of the heat, the fact that all my belongings inside my shed are now protected from those harmful things, heat, moisture. So the end user really will sell it back to you once they look at it and see the job that it does. Now, as a former roofing contractor, I always looked for products that would create an advantage over my shed, my product, versus the other guys as a way to win the sale, win the job. So this is a product that really does that. It really helps you win the sale because once you show this to the end user, they will sell it back to you and they'll have to have it. And then they'll have to not just have it, but they'll have to have it in multiples. And they'll want not only the fresh air moving through their shed of the ventilation product, but they'll want the light product also to bring light into their shed so that if they go get that tool that now has no moisture on it, that's possibly a wrench or something, and is protected by our products, it will be able to be seen because you go in a dark shed and your eyes take a second to adjust. And you're like, oh, where's that tool? And I got to wait for my eyes to adjust.
Oh, I know all too well. All too well.
Yeah. And, some of the folks, they have security concerns and they don't put windows on the shed.
Yeah.
So they're walking into a dark shed. That's where our light products come in. But even if you want that natural light of UV, where you maybe want to put a little plant in the corner and grow it, something nice and green there sitting on the bench, it works for that also. So
yeah,
it's kind of complementary products. Yes.
Oh, it doubles as, maybe not as a greenhouse apparatus, but I mean, still, if you're keeping your plants in for the winter or something like that, or
Yes.
yeah. Well,
Yes.
walk me through the product, especially now that we can see, and now that we're doing video. So for those of you who are listening, like, hey, maybe this isn't the best episode for you. I sure hope you'll listen, and at least go check it out at solarblasterfans.com if you want to see more. You guys can always go to the newsletter. So exciting thing is that Dan's coming on as an advertiser over the next 12 months. So we appreciate his support. And guess what we want to do? We're capitalistic over here at the Shed Geek Podcast. We want to support those who support us. So like, I really want to, shine some love on the products that Dan offers, and keeping in mind, this guy has been doing this for 15 years. You know what I mean? Like, he's been in the shed business. He knows the shed business. And I really want to make the phones ring for this guy. So solarblasterfans.com. Hello from the Shed Geek. Let's take a walk through My Shed 3D. With My Shed 3D, your company can simply add a 3D builder button to its website. Once the customer clicks onto the 3D builder button, they will enter some basic information to get started. Remember, this information is captured in your Leads tab, whether or not the customer designs a building. This is very valuable information that turns a cold call into a warm lead. Next, they begin the design of their shed by selecting a primary use, a style, and a size that best fits their need. My Shed 3D has multiple styles that are available and consistent with traditional and barn styles within the shed industry. However, if you offer a customized or non-traditional style, My Shed Solutions can build that design for future use. We can also save on some design features that make it easy to adjust without a major rebuild or added fees for design changes. For instance, want to offer a steeper roof pitch? Just navigate to the Settings tab. Then click the Building Models. Click Edit Building and just enter the new roof center height, and the design changes will reflect on this style option. This will save you thousands versus traditional design changes that need to build a whole new style to match your design. From here, simply choose the style, siding, and color. Then choose a trim and roofing style and color. Next, let's add a door. That was goofy. Next, let's add a door. It is required to add a door to move forward with the design, as at least one ingress-egress option is necessary. Then add some design changes for personalization. Maybe some windows, or a porch, or some interior shelving. Next, just click Save Design and the customer will receive an automated text with all the features of the design to the email address entered at the beginning. From here, they can edit the design, view the details of the design, pay now to order the shed, or click Rent to Own to complete the necessary steps to purchase a shed they designed with My Shed 3D. The design enters the admin panel as a quote, and this is where the manufacturer can update the progress of the design once a deposit is taken. My Shed, from design to delivery, we have you covered. But walk me through it, Dan, for those who are looking, for those who are seeing your product, those who are going to the website, checking it out, going to the newsletter, clicking on a lead form, watching your YouTube videos of it all. But walk me through it on this podcast. What is the Solar Blaster? Pretend I don't know anything about it. Give me the business. What do I need to know?
Just backing up just a hair. I'm doing what I was born to do, and some folks may have heard that phrase before somewhere. But this business is not a business. It's a gift. It was given to me, and I have poured my life into it. It was given to me at a bad time. I was in the process of losing a lot, everything. And I had seen this and had this idea and said, I'm going to go for it. I'm just going to go for this. I'm 50 years old, and I've got one good run at running out of business. And this is every day when you're doing something like this, you're accomplishing something. You're accomplishing one day possibly the strap fasteners. You might be accomplishing the UV braided cable that goes onto it. You might be accomplishing the solar panel match to the motor inside one day. And every day is something, and you're building labels, and you're building, boxes and bubble wrap and all the things that you see as an end product, right down to the made in America stamp right here, is an accomplishment, and you go home thankful. Wow, that was a great day. I did that today.
That's
but
awesome.
Here it is now, after 15 years, the end product for your shed. It comes with some pre-punched holes to fasten it down. It comes with the fasteners. We got ring shank rubber grommeted fasteners going on there, not just nailed on there. It comes with full instructions for your customers, a bit of information for your customers to read up on the product, see how it works. These things literally have a lifetime warranty. As long as you own your shed, I will take care of you. These are 50,000 hour, this motor right here. It's a 50,000 hour 2-ball bearing high-speed motor. And 50,000 hours is 9 hours a day for 15 years. So we don't have, out of the tens of thousands that are sitting on sheds across America now, we don't have any failures. But if it goes bad, you pop this little guy out right here, and you remove these 4 screws, flip the panel over, put a new motor in it, and away you go. So about 10 minutes if you did need to put a new motor in your unit, which is cool. You can put a new motor in
for sure. Yeah, you still have the product. Yeah, you're just those components having to be replaced every so often is I mean, and you're talking, what'd you say, 10 years?
Well, 50,000 hour rated, 2-ball bearing high-speed motor, 50,000 hours rated by about a 9 hour a day runtime is 15 years. So wow. Okay. I've had them running literally for 15 years. I've got product that's been running 15 years. So if you call me up and you got a bad fan, I just ship you a new one. I don't ask any questions. I don't ask you to run you through the ringer. I don't ask you to mail it in to me and we'll test it. And no, off we go, and you're back running. So all done from the roof of the shed, everything replaced. And I don't even like to talk about replacement, but it is a concern.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, this is a motorized mechanical device. It's one of the things that people resist is, I've got a motorized mechanical device. What happens if something goes wrong with it? Well, you just call me up. I'll send you a new fan. So that's that. But the product itself is a 14 gauge aluminum spun base, one piece. You notice there's no seam right here. So even if you're putting it on a flat roof and you're gonna have a little ponding water, here you could resist about 7 inches of ponding water. Most sheds, have a pitched roof, so no concern. 22 gauge hood. And then, of course, you can see, it's pretty simple. It's got the nice bug screen inside here, protecting against anything going to fly in. There we go. Very simple product. If you're in an area where you want to put it on the back of the shed, or you are in a northern latitude where you'd like to have the product point at the sun, then you buy one of our adjustable models, and up goes the panel pointed toward the sun. And then you can adjust that summer and winter. You can, go up there once a year, point it up for the winter, point it back down for the summer. This is, you can see, why is it so shiny? This is not painted metal. This is powder coated metal.
Okay.
We don't mess around with painting a vent. This is actually powder coated.
Nice.
And I take great pride in that, because show me another.
They come in several colors, right?
We've got gray, powder coated. We've got white. We've got the black. We got the galvanized. You see over here, and the brown.
Nice.
Very nice. So very nice.
So walk me through this. Like I'm sold on the product, because here's where my mind goes, Dan, is like, if you're offering a quality shed, what are you adding in terms of features and benefits that's really benefiting the end user? Because we've already established this is something, you know how all retail works, it gets passed on to the consumer. But if you're adding a value greater than the cost, then the customer will accept your product. If they'll accept your product and your price, they're going to buy it, no problem. It's the same line we use in marketing all the time. Anyone who's done a demo with us, we try to explain to them, and hopefully for those who are signed up with us, we actually are providing that value. I like to think we are, unless they say otherwise. That we It's a return on your investment. We actually add more value than it costs, and I tend to think that you are, by putting one of these products on here, you're adding more value than that small increase in the MSRP. Like you're adding more value. You I can only imagine putting one of these in a shed right next to one that doesn't have a shed out there in your Arizona heat where you guys are located at in Phoenix.
Exactly.
The customer's going to be like, well, yeah, I mean, it's so much cooler just walking in. It's just a no-brainer.
It's not just the fact that it's so much cooler, which it is. It's not just the fact, of course, in the desert, we have a little different is the moisture, that you can feel the difference in the moisture. It is fresh, clean air running through your shed. And that works 24/7. It's not just when the fan is running during the daylight hours when the sun's hitting the panel. As a convective air movement, a hot air balloon rising of air sucks into intakes that we've provided, which are another additional potential income source for shed builders. It pulling in the cool air and then rising to the convective vent. Just picture the eave on your home, hot air, cool air intake down here, and then hot air exhaust up here. So convectively moving air, average speed on a 712 roof on an 80-degree day is about 5 miles an hour, eave to ridge. So that applies to your shed too, 5 miles an hour. Intake to exhaust, we boost it to over 15 miles an hour as far as the air speed. Now, that's where we start to get into calculations, our cubic feet of the interior of the shed versus the cubic feet. Oh, this is our mega. This is our mega model here with the 5-watt fan in it. Now, that's the 96 CFM motor. And the smaller motor is the 39 CFM motor.
Introducing ShedHub, your ultimate shed marketplace. Are you in the shed business and looking to connect with more buyers? Look no farther than ShedHub. ShedHub is a game-changing, two-sided marketplace that brings shed sellers and buyers together in one easy-to-use platform. Think of it as the Amazon of sheds. ShedHub isn't just any ordinary marketplace. It's a powerhouse that ranks on the first page of Google's search results in 91% of U.S. cities. With over 1.2 million impressions on our website last month alone, ShedHub is where you want to be to showcase your sheds to a wider audience. And here's the best part. For a limited time, you can join our exclusive Next 500 plan for just $39 per month. Simply head over to geek.shedhub.com to sign up and start attracting more shoppers to your shed listings. As the Shed Geek, I am here to endorse ShedHub and invite you to join me on this journey to boost your shed business. Whether you're struggling with website visibility or simply want more eyes on your product, ShedHub has got you covered. Don't miss out on this opportunity to supercharge your shed sales. Visit geek.shedhub.com today and make your mark in the shed industry with ShedHub.
So now if we run some calculations, and I'll just quickly just go through this. And running calculations, we want to find the cubic feet of our shed. So we're going to go length. Now let's say we got a 12-foot shed. times an 8-foot wide shed times the 8, let's call it 10 feet. Let's just call it 10-foot high because we got the trussing interior. That's 960 cubic feet in our sample, our example shed, divided by 39 CFM or smaller motor. That's the replenishment factor of every 24 minutes. That's pretty good.
So you're saying the air every 24 minutes, you're getting completely new air circulating.
Every 24 minutes, we're circulating with the 39 CFM fan in a 12-foot shed. We're recirculating that air every 24 minutes. And that goes into the evening.
So it's not just cooler, but it's drier. I mean, I would imagine you're helping with decay. Just anytime you can keep the building dry, obviously. What are the other features and benefits to that? What are the feedback you get from the consumer?
Well, the consumer's telling me how fresh their shed is, that air being a natural cleanser. But the consumer doesn't want mold growth in their shed. Mm-hmm. They don't want that mold, but mold spores are seeds. Just like any other seed, when hit with moisture, they grow. Now, they can cause health concerns, but they can also do damage and cause aesthetic concerns, degrade our shed. Well, if we don't have any mold growth, we don't have to be concerned with that. But that is, it's a big issue. For me, as a shed owner, I don't want my stuff warping. I don't want my wood warping. I don't want the condensation on that nice paint on the outside and condensating on the inside because of the temperature variance, you see, that we get in different climates. And that warps the wood. And that's the reason I invented this product to begin with, was I saw homes poorly insulated that were having heat go out in the winter with 20, 25 degree temperature hitting the roof deck, and it turning into that, I don't know if they have a term for it, but in the container business, they call it container rain. In the roofing business, we had attic rain, literally condensating and moisture dropping. Well, what's that moisture going to do? It's going to hurt. If we're stored paper products, you see the shed where the guy's got a half full bag of concrete and he's put it aside in the corner of the shed. Well, haven't we all seen that?
Yeah.
Right? We've all seen it. And guess what happens to that bag of concrete?
It's the same in my garage. I got a bag of concrete I had to get rid of. And I'm like, do I need a solar blaster in my garage roof? And I may just need one. I may just need one because we just got a new roof on not too long ago. And it's really made me think about like the static air and the static vents versus what you're seeing now with like these motorized apparatuses that are, it's like it's two products in one, because it's not just motorized. You don't have to run a wire up to it. I mean, it's solar. Like the whole thing is like, and some people fight the idea of solar, right? Especially like in a conservative industry, we kind of fight it. We look at fossil fuels and we take our political adventure and we implement that into sort of our mindset. But you got to remember, one, it's what the customer wants. Two, it's so much simpler. You don't have to run a hard wire to this. And that's where solar really works out. It's a benefit. I have it on my RV, and trust me, having that big solar panel on my RV has paid us big time dividends. Cause like we haven't had to run a 110 plug out there, or we're parked somewhere, that we don't have electric overnight or something like that. We're able to run everything off of that large solar panel off the top. And, it's only going to become part of our future more. Like you guys were way ahead of your time 15 years ago. You're still ahead of your time 15 years later. But all that to say, I see the value in having the fans running and cleaning the air up, moving the air around, as opposed to just a static vent that you rely on the breeze. It's just not moving. The air's just not moving. And that's what you really need, is the movement of the air to keep things dry.
That's what you really need. And set aside the stigma for small uses like what we're using. You see those nice stop signs now that have the little LEDs around them that are run by solar. Well, for safety, what a great little way to get that stop sign visible, independent of a power source. What a great way to have your shed independent of a power source, just up there working away for you. So little uses, little motors, balanced, uniform airflow. And one of the ways we do that is we'll put a vent down low as an intake vent. So take this, put it on the east side, north side, or aesthetically wherever where we may, if we want to look at it, if we don't, but where the cool air will be coming in, and this will create our low end intake on a shed application. This will create our low end intake. It's got a nice bug screen inside, also paintable, and from there we've got convective movement of air, cool air intake, hot air exhaust, and there's where you're. It's just working for free for you. It's hot air rises. So
I love it. And what I really love is I can see your passion in it. I could the first time we interviewed you.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And like I'm so happy we've continued to stay in contact.
Digital Shed Builder is an online shed configurator that strives to provide incredible visual quality, fantastic customer service, and an amazingly low price point, making it a perfect fit for any shed dealer looking to increase their online sales. Digital Shed Builder is simple to use, taking less than 5 minutes to integrate on your site. The Get a Quote feature streamlines your sales process, showing you exactly what your potential customers need. They offer a highly customizable experience that accurately represents your brand and unique shed offerings, working with you directly to set up everything you need in a configurator. With no extra startup cost, no lengthy contracts or commitments, and no hidden fees, Digital Shed Builder has been created with quality, simplicity, and affordability in mind.
So let's talk about some other products. Okay, good. We got the solar roof blaster. Do you want to talk about, I mean, you put your pricing on the website, so it's real easy to find, but what's sort of like, that way, if someone's wondering, like what's sort of the payback on this or the ROI or I'm sure you can order in pallets. Do you want to expand on that any or?
Yeah,
go for it.
We for basically any dealer, we're going to offer you sales support to begin with. We have, the typical, the brochures, the posters, the yard banisters that are very nice. You hang in your yard to feature our product. So when you come on board with us, you're going to get all that sales support. You're going to get a friendly voice right here because I pick up my phone.
And someone who answers the phone, which is key. Dan will answer his phone, I promise you.
No, you're going to make me too busy, and then I'm old school. I love talking with my customers. I love talking about the aspects that we're talking about today. I've immersed my life into this. This is what I will do the rest of my life, and I'm very passionate, very excited about it. So I'm also passionate and excited about taking care of you, my customer. Yeah. So we start out with a discount that you can purchase product through a code on the website itself. You can purchase directly from me and call me up and place an order anytime you want. But when we start talking about getting into larger sales, half pallets is where we get a little bit more of a discount, and then we're shipping pallets to you, which is a nice way to get the product to you, honestly. That it receives less kind of handling in the UPS, FedEx, postal service process, so that we possibly have a cleaner, fresher. And I really care that it's nice when it gets to you. Yeah. So that's one way. If you're in my area, I love loading up my trailer and delivering to you and meeting you. So, and I know, Shannon, you're across the country, but I'm also very passionate about traveling and exploring. So getting a few days away from the business to come see you would be wonderful. So there's kind of how the process works. Very simple. It's nothing is set in stone. We can negotiate anything and everything, and that's the way business works. So we're here to serve you and offer our products that will help boost your advantage in the industry.
Ballpark on a solar roof blaster product. What are you at? What are you at retail? Just roughly, just off your website. Like I'm showing, you got a discount on Browns right now for
Got a discount
99.99
on
each.
Browns. We overstocked the Browns, so we're pushing those out right now. Those are 99 each. The It depends on, of course, the product. The powder coat product is a little bit more. The 149 on the regular roof blaster, and the adjustable goes up a bit from there. So it's in the 100 to 200 and 200 a quarter retail value. And you can, I don't like to throw the numbers out too much, but you can start out with about 15% of play, just calling me up.
Well, right off the bat, just being able to add that much in value, it seems like a no-brainer at the end of your price. If you're looking at a, 10 by 16, I don't know, $5,800. And I, guys, I haven't sold sheds in a while, so it's, bear with me. Different parts of the country is going to have different prices, but I'm just throwing it out there. Let's say, I mean, to increase that to 6,000, to throw a little bit on top of the cost of it, to handle it, to change your building process or whatever it is, if you're a manufacturer, to figure out all the jigs to get it on here, whatever it is you need. Like, all I'm saying is you can add a little bit to the price. The consumer is going to eat that cost and add more in value in the use of the building. You're just selling and I really struggle with the shed industry of like trying to get down to like the bottom dollar on the price of everything and trying to sell in bulk. Hey, listen, if you continue to sell quality shed, those people are going to find you. And these added features and benefits. I mean, and hey, this is your podcast, so I'm not trying to rep anybody else, but a lot of these different products come to mind. LuxGuard is an advertiser for. Love the rubber flooring they're doing. Why aren't people adding that to your line? Solar Blaster should just become a
rubber flooring.
There you go. It's an easy conversation to like
Yeah.
when the customers demand more, like you want to be able to provide that for them. And I think you can just simply put one in right next to one where there's not, and let the customer kind of see and decide if it's something that they want. But if they come standard on every shed, it just becomes an added feature and benefit, like a loft, or like a, new doors, new windows. Somebody was talking the other day on Shed Sales Professional about, where do I get these black windows, the black frame windows? Everybody was like, just, man, I remember 5 years ago, I wanted those things so bad. I was like, hey, I want to start selling those. Let's talk about some other products, Dan. Besides
Sure.
the roof blaster, like you have, I mean, of course, you have so much. You have light blasters for Connex boxes, so people might not understand. You really understand the shipping container business. Ridge blasters, metal ridge blasters. There's so many products you have. I'm just kind of focused right now on like your solar roof blaster, but then your light blaster for sheds, because it literally says it on your website. Walk me through the light blaster. What are the features and benefits? How does it help the end user?
Okay, let me back up just 1 second, if I could. All right.
Yes, sir.
When you walk out of Ace Hardware and you just bought a new weed eater, and they're like, well, would you like to buy the 2-year coverage warranty program? You got a $10,000 shed, couple $100, 250, $300 for a couple accessories that really improve your shed, really cover your shed as far as the warranty aspect. I don't know what the typical percentage for a warranty protection is, but certainly while the customer is demanding it, the technology has caught up to it, and the type of work that it actually does versus, say, and I don't ever dig on other products, but aesthetically, I feel my product is so much more beautiful than a big whirly bird. And every one of them will tell me that it is, because it really is.
Yeah.
So the technology's caught up to it. It does the job. It offers the protection. Now, with the light blaster, Energy Star efficient. We had we had a hurricane go through, Florida. And we've been through many, in 15 years, been through many hurricanes. We have not lost one product due to a hurricane. All these products are bulletproof. Down on the roof are light blaster products for sheds metal roofs, which we adapt to the bump on the typical. And there's a name for that, and I don't know what it is. The type of metal that you use. So we adapt to a flat roof application with the light blasters. They just offer what I would equate to the equivalent of an 80-watt light bulb inside the shed. And again, it's transferring light in a UV fashion. You can literally grow plants if you chose to, wanted to plant inside your shed. The Energy Star efficiency means that it doesn't transfer heat into the shed, which is a nice benefit over your typical skylight, even your windows, which are going to transfer some heat. So that's a nice aspect to it. Very easy to install. I have, as a former roofer, have the kind of tips and tricks down, and they're all in the instructions that come with every product. So then we move on to our Ridge Blaster, which is a 3-fan configuration platform that hangs in the ridge vent opening of the shed. We have our metal Ridge Blaster that's powered by a 10-watt panel. So we have 3 2.7-watt fans powered by a 10-watt panel. Then we have the metal Ridge Blaster, which I designed specifically for a shed company here in Phoenix, which you know well. And as with the Ridge Blaster, the solar platform that houses the solar panel just floats on top of the metal, and there's no protrusions through the metal at all. It mounts up underneath the ridge, very clean, very nice. And I've been in the ridge installing the products when the product kicks on, and you are up there, you're hot, you're sweating, you're adjusting that fan, and all of a sudden the click goes the switch. It's not a switch, it's a connection. And you feel the air just swooshing by you and cooling you down. So it's an amazing product. Both of those, the metal Ridge Blaster and the Ridge Blaster, to the 10-watt panel, probably more suited for a 12-foot or larger metal roof shed.
Well, and I'm sitting here looking at your website, and like the solar light blaster for the shipping containers, both the external and the internal pictures, because, sheds is becoming unanimous with like the common denominator in all of these other areas. But the shed dealer, the shed manufacturer, they're starting to see the benefits of, shipping containers. And now these shipping containers are becoming, collapsible. People are actually building them now. We've had some different guys on the episode, podcast episodes, displaying their products and things like that. But
hello, today we're going to take a look at iFab's component saw system. So we're utilizing a DeWalt chop saw. We've put it on sliders, easily to adjust. We've automated it using pneumatics so that we can run all these saws together using one actuator. We can either actuate with a 2-hand safety control here or a foot pedal. The 2-hand safety control comes with board clamps here, so to clamp in your board so you're totally hands-free. We've got digital readout up here to find your angle as well as your length. So we have a 90-degree saw here for your super long angle cuts. We've also got a conveyor on this system to take away your cutoffs. This system is completely modular. We can add as many saws as you need. The rails can be as long as you need.
For more information, visit www.ifabllc.com.
It's the first cousin to the shed industry, isn't it? Shipping container, because it's ultimately storage. And for those who are less inclined to have the aesthetic appeal of a shed, and they're just wanting something more practical in terms of like a shipping container, this still serves the purpose. Like, you can put these light blasters on top of these Connex boxes and all these different shipping container styles. And it's amazing whenever you look at the website and you look at the picture of the two on the outside on the roof, and then the light that it displays inside. I mean, there's no other way there's lights getting in there. I mean, it's like turning on a switch.
That's right.
But you don't,
right.
you don't have an electric,
Right. No, exactly. I'll tell you a little quick story. your shed guy in Pahrump, Nevada, good friend of mine, Jamie, he was selling his sheds. Well, he found a connection to a container supplier, and he started selling containers. He calls me up. He says, I'm selling lots of these containers. I'm selling more containers than I'm selling sheds. He said, I'd like to try your product. And this is back when we just had the roof blaster. And so he put a container without the product, and then he put one of our roof blasters on the shipping container, and he would just let the customer just walk in and feel the difference. And they all bought the product. But shipping containers have strengthening ribs so they can be stacked. They have strengthening ribs, which are large on the sides and smaller on the roof. They typically have a 3.5-inch strengthening rib or a 6.5-inch strengthening rib. And so what we did was we took and punched our base flashing for a shipping container. So now you have this that just fits flush onto a shipping container. And it's the same construction as the roof blasters. This comes with a gasket because it's sitting on a flat roof. It comes with 16 self-tapping rubber grommeted screws. And about 30 minutes after you start, you got the product installed on top of your shipping container. And we run the same calculations as far as the length times width times height, come up with our replenishment, advise that you put in a low-end intake. And now we have fresh, moisture-free, clothesline fresh air in your shipping container. So we've done great business with them. And many shed manufacturers do also sell containers. So, and a shout out to my friend Jamie for getting me started on the shipping container products.
Well, it's becoming more common. And yeah, that story alone is a good example of, your longevity in the industry. And, the conversation we kind of had is like, hey, how do we make that more known though? How do we leverage the podcast as a platform to be able to get people to understand who Dan is, what the products are, what they offer? You have more than this. And I encourage people to go to solarblasterfans.com. If you can't just go to solarblasterfans.com and look it up, but you listen on the newsletter, remember, there are all those display ads that you guys see. Not only today's episode, you can just go click on the picture and boom, you can go to his website. He's got all kinds of YouTube videos plastered all over his website that show an installation of product, all kinds of other stuff. Like, you're going to be able to get the information you need. And if you don't, you can call him. But we also have on that display ad, you can go click on that. We've got a lead form there. It's real simple, guys. You just go look. You can listen to his previous podcast episode. You can listen to other podcasts he's been on. You can listen to this one because we're going to end up adding it on there. You can punch your name in, phone number, zip code, address, whatever it is, and say, I want to know more about this stuff. And me and Dan's going to get an email, and someone's going to reach out to you, and they're going to try to sell you a Solar Blaster fan or a light blaster or whatever it is that you need. But my goal here is like, how do we get the phones to ring? I really want people to call Dan. I appreciate him coming on as an advertiser for sure. But it's just a no-brainer for me. It's not just me pushing it and like suggesting it or putting a stamp of approval on it, Dan, if you will. It's that the product works. It's a no-brainer for the end user. We are in 2024. We're almost in 2025. And the one thing that I notice is a lot of the sheds are the same. There are some people doing some cool research and development. I love seeing new styles, and new styles is awesome. But almost every one of those new styles and almost every one of those new products or designs come out with this same. And look, I'm not trying to hurt anybody's business here. I'm just saying they come out with the same boring, static, vent or whirly bird. You never see those on sheds, but you always see them on homes, and it's not moving the air. And for me, it's like a no-brainer. It's like, why wouldn't you use this solar apparatus to be able to move the air around to keep it fresh to, I don't know. To me, it just seems simple.
Well, I mean, you just hit on it. So let's talk about other forms of venting in the shed industry. We have our gable vents. Now, as a expert in venting, which I've devoted my life to roof venting, gable vents are great. But what they do is take the air off the top of the shed. Gable vents are wind-driven vents. So if the wind's blowing here, it blows the hot air out the other side. So if the wind's blowing from the other direction, typically, you're prevailing. Ideally, you would set your shed to the prevailing wind, just kind of like if you're a roofer and you put your ridge cap on, you put your the open part of your ridge against the prevailing wind. So you're kind of working with kind of the wind again, air moving that you've got. Now, I used to tell people, now close those gable vents off and just run our products. Well, I don't do that anymore because really and truly, they're not a convective vent. They don't have a low end intake and a high end exhaust. They don't just go search out the corners of the shed. This is truly a convective vent where it comes in low, exhausts up high, just like your home. So like your home is designed. So what we're adding is not only a futuristic, which is now 15 years in the past, but still searching for the future benefits and application and acceptance, as you said earlier. But we're working with the science of just hot air rising. Just hot air rising is all we're working with. It's not complex, and that's one of the reasons I could maybe be so passionate about it is, gee, I know everything about it. All it is hot air rising. So that's really all you have to know. And that works 24/7. It doesn't work just when a motor is pushing the air. So I call it solar assist, during those hours, and then convective movement in the evening hours, which if you've ever swirled a bathtub, and then once you stop swirling, the water still keeps moving, a hot tub, bathtub, whatever. The air is the same way. Once you've boosted it all day at an accelerated rate, it tends to stay moving, which is even nicer benefit because it's pulling in cool, fresh evening air after the sun has went down.
Makes perfect sense to me. You explain it so well because you've been doing it for so long.
That's right.
So I tend to, like less is more sometimes. And I think you've probably figured that out it's a simplistic approach at adding a featured benefit to your sheds. And that's really my call to the shed manufacturer. Like, what salesperson wouldn't be excited to get this in to be able to sell the product? It's an added feature and benefit that they can show. So whether it's the salespeople that pull on the manufacturers to provide the product, or whether it's the manufacturers that see the value in it, I'm sure they can call you up and order one of these things and try it out. You're going to probably drop ship something to them so they can try it out, see it. And the proof is really in the pudding, right, Dan? Like, you don't have to sell after that. Once they see it, it's really just a matter of like encouraging the manufacturers to add these different products for features and benefits. The Solar Blaster being an example of one of those products. I mean, it's just a no-brainer if you're going to be selling a quality shed, a better shed, setting yourself apart, trying to be unique in what you offer. You won't know until you call it up, check it out, and try it out. This isn't a major overhaul and installation. These are fairly simple installations. From what I can tell, it's so simple a geek could do it, right?
Well, sure. I mean, the installation itself is just simply lining up the product to where you want it, as far as shingle roof, metal roof, whatever your application is. But as far as if you do need to cut a hole in a composition roof, you're not using my ridge vent products. Say it's just a matter of just cutting, two cuts. The template comes with the product. So you've got a template that you can work with to cut if you want to cut a round hole. If you want to cut a square hole, you take a Sawzall and you run it underneath the shingles. You slide the product in, pound down the 5 nails, and you're done. I mean, it's really, of course, I'm a roofer, so it's maybe less complicated for someone that's done it their whole life. But really and truly, once you read the instructions, just a matter of cutting a hole and sliding the product in, nailing it down.
I got to tell you, these guys are manufacturers and they do some really excellent work. I've been around some of the best builders in the industry. And I can tell you, it's not the application, it's the mindset, Dan, that I need to offer these products, that the consumer may want these products, the salesperson may want to sell these products. So I'm going heavy on this podcast. I'm going heavy on this episode.
Are you a dealer who sells multiple products at your shed lot? Are you tired of sifting through clunky or overcomplicated softwares to simply sell a product? If so, it's time to call Cal. Consumer Aligned Logistics is the affordable, simplified, and scalable solution for your shed, carport, or even RTO company. We are partnered with Idea Room and Shed Pro for configurators and have multiple RTO partners to choose from JMag to Heartland to Shed Geek Rentals and Scott's RTO. And if your partner isn't listed here, just ask. We are happy to add more. Give us a call at 425-359-3279 or visit calcanhelp.com. That's CALCANHELP.com.
But I've got a container sales in Gallup, New Mexico. He does a lot of business with me. And I asked him last time he came in to pick up an order, how do you install the product? And he goes, simple. He goes, we just developed a jig. I take my plasma cutter out there. 5 minutes later, it's cut and installed. No problem. So he immediately adapted, built him a little jig, uses his plasma cutter, and off to the races. So
yeah. These guys are they're talented. The message I'm driving home is like, add these features and benefits, add these different products. Say, look, I'm going to go to bat for my advertisers. You know, these guys are providing products that are new, they're different. In your case, they're tried and tested. They've been in the industry already for 15 years. We just, you know, I don't know how much awareness you guys need. Maybe people don't know Solar Blaster fans exist. Maybe they listened to the previous episode and then it just flew right over their head. They didn't go to your website. Go click on the link, guys. Go take a look at it at least. Go check out the videos. See the installation process. You'll fall in love with Dan because he's just an easy guy to like, you know, and he's going to be your specialist in terms of like explaining this to you. You don't have to, like, you're going to all the education. You're going to get all the literature that you need. It's really just embracing the mindset of adding new products for features and benefits to the end consumer. And like, you just pass that on. We're not talking about a $6,000 shed that needs to add a $5,000 product line to make it better. You know, we're talking about a $6,000 shed that's adding a $150 product. And if you go get Browns right now, according to the website, you get them for $99. And you probably call Dan, you can work him for a deal on a pallet. Who knows? But until you embrace this, until you try it to see if it works, and then give Dan some feedback, give me some feedback. Hey, look, we tried the product and it didn't work. It didn't do what we thought it's going to do. The customer didn't understand it or didn't like, I feel like this is such a simple product that it's really just a mind block in accepting it. So Dan, I'm doing all I can. I want to make the phones ring, buddy. I want you to be so busy because so many people call that you're like, man, I got to slow down. You know, that's where I want you to be.
Well, thank you, Shannon. We are here to serve our customers. It's not about us. Really, it's not. We're here to serve you. So whatever that takes. I've got these guys that work real well, my ears, and the feedback is always welcome to how we can help and serve you better. And that's really, honestly, why we love our business so much. We have an opportunity to do what we love to do what we feel gifted to do, and serve others. So just let us know how we can adapt to you and how we can work with you on all aspects of what we need to do business together. And we'll have some very happy customers is the end result that we're shooting for.
And here's the thing, you could go direct to consumer, but you choose not to. You choose to go through the manufacturer, to let the manufacturer add this product, the feature and benefit to the shed that they're selling. This benefits the manufacturer and the shed seller. You could attempt to go direct to consumer because it's an easy enough installation process that you could do this as a homeowner, or you know, like it's a fairly easy product to install. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
We do go direct to consumer, but they're not going to get a discount.
Yeah,
they're not going to get wholesale pricing. We do, you know, our business has been a bit, you know, thrived for the customers across the country that have purchased our products, and will continue to do so. But they don't get a discount. I offer a veterans discount, and you'll be hard pressed to get anything more than that out of me. I'll tell you what, if you're not a business owner.
Yeah, no, I get it. That makes perfect sense. Made in America. I love the stamp.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's something that is so rare. Whenever all this, I'm thinking about these Facebook memes and stuff that went around, Dan. Whenever the strike was happening at the ports, one of my favorite ones was the one that said, you know what? We don't have to worry about getting caught up at the ports. American-made products.
That's right.
We don't have to worry about that whenever it's made here. So I really like that one, and I appreciate your dedication to the country, and love that it's American-made stuff. What's the process look like before we get off of here, real quick, Dan? What's the process look like when they order? They call, they go to a website, they want to know more. Maybe they even click on the newsletter link. We're going to send them an email or get them over to you. How does it usually work?
Hey, call me up. My phone number is plastered everywhere. It's not hidden at all. You can find my phone number, 480-747-7097. It's everywhere. It's on all our literature. It's on the front page of the website. So if you want to talk and tell me your specific area of the country, your needs, what specifically the product that we can work with you and best might serve your customers with, just give me a shout. I answer my emails right away. You can text me, however you want to communicate. Your best form of communication, I'll adapt to. And so it's kind of you can go to the website directly. Lots of information on the products and the fact that hot air rises. So just whatever way we can adapt to your needs, we're here.
Well, I've been all over the website, and we're certainly thankful for you coming on. We want to add value to you. Those who are listeners, I can't say enough for Dan and his communication and just sort of what he does. And to be honest with you guys, I really just like the product. Dan, how many? I need to get you square foot. We just got a roof put on. I can put these on. I want to order a couple for my garage. I want to see how they work. I want to install them on my garage. So stay on here and we'll chat, and I'll get you a check in the mail. But I want to see how it works. I want to see how it goes, and I'll just do the installation myself. And I'm curious more than anything. I'm curious to see it, especially whenever I'm supporting the product. I believe in it because I believe in you. We've become friends through this whole process. I want to have you back on the show as much as we need to, but I want to get the phones to ring, so I can't express that enough. I'm asking people on behalf of what we do to call in, check this thing out, and get your own like feedback. Order one of these things like I'm doing to see how it works. And if it looks like the right product for your shed line, then let's go for it. Because to me, everything I've seen on your website, everything I've seen on your YouTube pages, it just seems like a no-brainer. It seems very simple.
Well, we have folks all over government buying our products. We got the Coast Guard bought a bunch of products a couple of weeks ago. SpaceX, McDonnell Douglas, the Boeing company buys our product. These products are researched by very smart people, and such as shed builders that are out there, and they've discovered that we do a good job for them. So it's not just your shed manufacturer. It's some other folks but they don't get a discount either.
Yeah. If it's a government, you're probably charging more, right?
Those guys are buying retail. That's right. So we especially want to work with the shed manufacturers, adapt to their needs, offer them a way to create an advantage, and get a good deal on our product at the same time that they can pass some profit on the product onto their buyers.
Real simple, guys. You heard about it here on the Shed Geek podcast from season 1 to now season 4. Dan, and I always mispronounce your last name. You say it so I don't get it wrong.
Okay, so it's Rayome, Rayome.
Rayom. I always say
Yes, sir.
Ream because of the spelling, but it's
It's all
Rayom.
right.
Dan Rayom at
We'll
solarblasterfans.com.
we'll get it figured out.
Yeah, well, you're just always so cheerful. You're always so pleasant, and I'm telling you, that's probably one of my favorite things. I really hope that the shed industry will embrace this. We've got a year to try and make it work. So if you guys want to know more about it, solarblasterfans.com. Go to the Shed Geek newsletter, click on it, find out some more information. That'll send a email over to me and Dan. He'll get back with you. One of us will make sure that he's able to get in contact with you. Appreciate you guys listening today. Dan, we'll have to have you back on. Anything else you want to say? Here's something I do that you may not be aware of. I usually spend so much time interviewing the consumer or the podcast guest that I forget that they don't have time to ask me questions. So at the end of each podcast, what I've been doing for the last 6 months, year or so, is to let you ask questions. Do you have any questions about podcasting, the shed industry, anything that I might be able to answer? Maybe I can, maybe I can't. Maybe you have some questions, maybe you don't. But if you do, I'll answer them to the best of my ability if you have any.
Well, I tell you, I appreciate our relationship. We didn't have a relationship. You came into the shed industry and were so passionate about it, and you were developing all these ideas, and then traveling, and what brought you into the industry, and how come it's this industry, and where does your passion come from?
Same thing like it was sort of a God thing, where I got into it. And believe it or not, I actually started in purchasing. So I would have been doing research and development, and I would have been looking at products like yours. That was my introduction to the industry, because I would have been doing R&D for different product lines, and new lumber vendors or new metal vendors or new products and services that might benefit the shed. So that's how I kind of got started. And I got started through a gentleman at church who was a childhood friend of mine. And that's just kind of how it worked. He said, "Hey, you want to work here? And might be a job opening." And then I got out of that, worked in faith-based drug and alcohol rehab for a little bit, which is also a passion of mine. And then ultimately got back in sales, and it's just took off from there. Like, the Lord's really blessed me with opportunity between jumping into rent to own, and then and sales as sales manager. And then I kind of found you never just find your stream there. I don't even know how to explain it to you, but you find your where you're supposed to be, and you
Yeah,
just kind of
yeah.
ride that one thing where you're supposed to be. You stay in your own lane. And the idea of the podcast did that, and then the rest was history. It's provided more opportunity for me and my family than I would have ever expected. And it's easy to be passionate about something when you find your purpose. You talked about purpose earlier, and I think that's all it was. The Lord could have put me in the motorcycle business too. He could have put me in the car business. He probably could have put me in the home building business. It could have been wherever I could have landed. But what I knew was that no matter what I was doing, whether I was a CEO or whether I was a janitor, I was going to do it with every bit of energy that I had. I was going to learn. I was going to be open to coaching. I was going to, you know what I mean? I was going to, my dad used to teach me to outwork everybody. If you just outwork everybody, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
consistency is the
yeah.
key. Just come in and grind
What a
every
great
day. And
label to have, a hard
yeah.
worker. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Because it's so rare anymore. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like I take laziness personally. You know what I mean? My dad used to make us work. And if you guys followed me, you'd be bored out of your mind. If you came and sat with Shannon for a weekend. Because guess what I do? On Saturday, I go out and I work in my yard. I sweat, I work hard, I go out and I do manual labor, because like Monday through Friday, I don't. Monday through Friday, I no longer do a lot of that. I'm sitting here at a computer, I'm doing relationships, I'm doing team building, I'm doing all these different things. So it means a lot for me that, like, even if I could afford to go on vacation or something, like I spend a lot of time working in my yard or helping others or doing something of manual labor, because I still enjoy it. It became such a part of me. So I'm telling you, consistency wins. Just keep doing the same things over and over and over, working hard. Show up when other people won't. You know what I mean? Like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. All of those things were kind of drained, like drilled into my head. Like keep working hard, don't give up, keep. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I found the passion here. I started. Matter of fact, as a salesperson, I started reaching out to other salespeople, other product lines. Hey, what are you doing? What are you seeing? What are you experiencing? Should I be doing something different? I became curious
Well,
for
that brings me to my
success.
next question then. You, uh, when you first start out, you first meet somebody you don't know. But I have followed you now faithfully for the last year, and I see so much innovation. I see so much change and growth, and you're out there, you're at the shows, you're digging deep into the shed industry. What do you see as the future?
Oh man. I there for a while I was saying that I figured there would be a lot of acquisitions, and I still think there will be some of that. The digital world is so different now in terms of like sales and marketing and stuff like that, that I've had to even have a crash course myself, Dan, and figuring some of these things out. And guess what? Every level I make it to, there's a glass ceiling that I bust through and find out there's this whole other solar system of information over here I've not yet mastered. And I don't think we ever really do. Um, but probably that more than anything is you used to be able, you still can. Richard Mashburn talked about this on an episode. You can still build a shed and set it out by the road and sell it. We're still that industry that you can do that with, but the
Mm-hmm,
but
mm-hmm.
the way AI and technology is taking a front seat to the sales process, the marketing process, and the way the market works in general. I mean, when you go to Walmart now, you just go through, put all your stuff in your cart, click it with your phone, and walk out the door. I mean, there's so many advances in technology that when I think about a product line like sheds, where's that going? E-commerce is a perfect example. Are we ahead of our time with products like our services like Shed Hub and Sheds for Sale? Are we right on time? I really don't know. Um, that's kind of probably the biggest surprise to me. As far as the product itself, you're still trying to solve a problem, and it's typically storage. At the end of the
Right
day, you're
on.
trying to so that's why I'm pushing so hard on products and features and benefits to the product line in your sheds. Like there's only many ways we can build it. There's whether you're using you know number one or number two lumber. You know what I mean? Like you can get into all the details of different things. What about your roof? What are components it's made out of? What about your flooring? What about the walls? The windows? All of those things matter. Different designs and all those things matter. But I just feel like we have to be unique and to stand out. You've got to do more now. And that's why I support your product so much. It's not just because you're advertising with me. We've had guys on who don't advertise, who sell products, and we support them too. I just want to go to bat a little harder for the guys that support me. We want to support them back. And those products, a lot of those guys are great too. I'd love to see the shed industry sort of embrace those.
I got one more question for you.
Yeah.
Uh, it is so rare to see a man that is in business that puts his faith on his sleeve because it's risky.
It's
Um,
very risky. Yeah, I
it's
get it.
it's risky. I've been canceled,
Yeah.
and I know what it feels like. And you do that. What? How do you feel about that?
Man, what a great question. And I love the way you phrased it. And I was talking to someone today, and I don't mind mentioning, it's Tristan Klesick from Cal. We were just having a discussion, and me and him were talking about our faith. And it's one of the parts that make it really important for me. Uh, The Lord is sovereign, and he doesn't need my help. But still, for some reason, he chooses to use me as a conduit to speak to people, and he uses you, Dan, and he uses the other people who listen to this episode, and even those who don't, right? He's using you if you'll be a willing vessel. And the reality is, I couldn't get up from this desk and walk out this door without his permission. And I think it's easy for us to begin to think something of ourselves when we accomplish something. I've seen people do it my whole life. I'm 44 years old. I've done it several times myself. I've been Judas's kiss. You know what I mean? I've literally been, so I get it. But even through all of that, he's loved me. And he's loved me at my worst. He's loved me whenever I wasn't lovable. And I just think that if you, for some reason, are going to get canceled, and it's probably going to happen to me at some point, but I've had big companies say, well, we just don't like the faith aspect of the show, because it doesn't represent us. We're $1 billion industry or whatever, and we have to stay away from that. And I'm like, well, then you're not for me. I mean, you're just not for me. Like, it's okay for you to still be successful and me to still be successful, and for you to do it your way. But how dare me deny what good God has done for my life, in my life, and what he's done for me and my family? How dare me to deny that? So, like, that old saying, if you were a Christian, would there be evidence enough to convict you publicly of being a Christian? Or,
Yeah.
and I don't try to push it down anyone's throat. I just try to represent the Lord, and I fail constantly, but I try to represent him. He's given me this business. I didn't earn it. He gave it to me. And if I do not honor that, I won't be here. And I do think that there's so many faith-filled people in this industry that that's what they appreciate. So I'm always going to keep him front and center, even if it means my cancellation. That's okay. I'm gonna accept that maybe it's my time to move on into another area, because it's a hostile world. And listen, I'm probably not preaching from a pulpit, like many people do, but I am using my platform to make sure that they know that I would not have anything without the Lord. My family, my work, a platform, none of it exists without him. So how dare me not pay honor to that? Because it'd be taken from you in a heartbeat, Dan, the minute you think you've done it.
Right. Well said.
Yeah. No, that's my thoughts on it. Hey, dude, I appreciate the questions for sure too, and I appreciate you following me. You're the real deal. You're genuine, and even though we took over an hour of people's time today who was willing to listen through this all the way through, I think many people can sort of identify with what we're talking about here today. And dude, I just really want the phones to ring. I can't say that enough. I want you to see success. I do. I want you to see success in this adventure of ours. And I hope people really embrace it. We'll have you back on the show anytime that you want to come on. And I really want to get out to Arizona and meet you in person. We haven't got to do that yet.
Yeah, come out and see our facility. Everybody's welcome. Come on in.
Hey, I'll make it happen one day. Appreciate you so much being on the show and your
Thank you.
questions.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford here at the Union Grove Lumber Studios, and we want to wish you a very Merry Christmas.